Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Backstage episode. I'm Ellen Cribs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. I think, yeah, really what it means the backstage is nobody's wearing makeup,
Y- Pretty much. Yeah,
which is pretty much backstage, right?
it is backstage, and it's my daily life since the pandemic has hit.
Although you look like you're not in sweats today. So
You-
that's always good.
I am very proud of myself. I have not spent a single day this whole pandemic in my pajamas. I have showered and dressed every day.
See, that's really important.
It really is.
The
Yeah.
all the psychologists will tell you that's important for our well-being. And goodness knows I've been getting dressed every day. Although I have to
Right.
admit that. I have to admit I did buy one pair of sweatpants, but they're the you can wear them to work variety from Land's End.
But yeah, I mean, in these times, we just have to push ourselves because I think that that helps with depression, with anxiety to kind of stick to
And I think that's what a lot
routine.
of our folks have been doing is pushing themselves, to read plays and get involved in Zoom productions or conversations or watch things like that. Mary Callanan, who we've had on as a performer, she was, most folks would know her as Mama Rose at the Cap Rep production a couple of years ago. She does a show online. They just had one up. They do, like a Crazy Tuesday, and
Yeah.
they've got a tip jar. You can Venmo. She puts on, a mask maybe or a hat. So check out Mary's profile on Facebook so that you can enjoy her entertainment even in this time of being socially distant.
Oh, that's awesome. I can definitely check that out.
New Nate. I got to quick look it up. Buse, not Yusufera. Nate. Oh, Nate, you're gonna hate me now. He's another one who does that. So there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of folks who are performing, and using tip jars. Nate Buse. Oops, it's coming up. It's almost there. Maybe not. I'll get it. Uh, but I'll get it. Anyhow, there's a lot of stuff going on,
There
and
is a lot.
I can correct this after, right? Results
Oh,
for.
yeah.
Nah, that's not spelled right. I'll get there. But he's good. He's good too. Take a look.
And we actually heard from the Outer Loop Theater experience. We did a episode
Yeah.
with them a while back, talking about One Ironaut, which was a virtual production they did. And they've got a cool thing coming up. It's a play called 13 Suits, A Mother's Monologues, and it's based on the true story of Patrick Duff's death in the hit and run accident that happened in Ballston Spa in 2015.
Yeah.
So that's really, really interesting. It's a series of reflections to help her cope with grief, and they're bringing that production up. When? Let's see. When is that happening? Do you know the Benita the dates on that? Let's
I'm gonna,
see.
I just jumped into it was the story first. Maria, you may know remember the name Maria Lentini was convicted in the crash that killed Patrick Duff.
Mm,
So if that rings any bells with folks, I guess it was just a horrible, the defendant, Patrick Duff's body was impaled on the windshield of her car
mm,
for over an hour. And so you can imagine, perhaps, the grief that triggered for the family to
mm.
learn of that was just so difficult on top of the loss of a loved one.
Yeah.
And the production on this is 13 suits. Let me pull this
I
up
think I got
quickly.
the February 26th, 27th, and
Yes,
28th.
yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And we'll put the link on our website
Mm-hmm.
so that you can take a look see. And, I think we're all dealing with grief at this time
Mm-hmm.
for so many different losses and to uh, feel with someone else, which is really the theatrical experience, isn't it, Ellen?
It really is. I actually this past week touched base with Diaka, who did Shakespeare in Love with Us, and Liz, who was in the costume department with Cap Rep, and that talk was so helpful for me because it was a reminder that we're all going through stuff, and the withdrawal theater really is a loss.
Yeah.
It's among other things that are going on right now, a lot, lack of social, the loss of theater is it's like grieving a friend that's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which on the flip side means we have to find stuff to celebrate. And if you're looking for something this weekend, the Two of Us Productions actually had to postpone and will be doing their production of I Am a Camera this week. Last weekend, right before showtime, pretty much, they had to postpone. One of the cast members had a crisis. I don't
Mm.
know what it was, but whatever it was, the show could not go on. So jump on to the Two of Us Productions and you can sign up. It's, of course, it's free and you can watch the show at home. The Hubs and I we were going to tuck in last weekend. We're going to tuck in this weekend and watch that as well. I don't even know who's in the cast. But I've had the good fortune to perform with them. Wonderful folks down in Columbia County. Always good talent, spirited, and very supportive. So I would take a look at that if you're looking for something this weekend. Show starts at 7.
Awesome. I love it. And we had some fun responses. Speaking of things during the pandemic, I'm pulling up my responses.
Mhm.
We asked a few questions last episode of Backstage, and one of them is about the gifts that the pause has given you. So let's gonna look at some of it. First of all, I was thrilled how many responses we got. Oh my gosh, we got so many. So if you're like, why didn't you read my response? We unfortunately don't have an hour to read everything. Um,
But keep the cards and letters coming because we'll get to you the next time, please. We love the back and
Absolutely.
forth. It's part of the community, gang.
And we might save your response for a different episode, that links in. So here, let me throw in some of them. This is from Jessica. She said, one of the main reasons I moved to Chicago was because of the huge amount of theater companies. There was always a show to see, and I would troll Gold Star to find something to see nearly every week. I eventually got a little burned out and started getting in the habit of buying tickets and then not deciding and then deciding at the last minute not to go. I opened the Gold Star app accidentally a few days ago and took a look at all the theater I had missed because I took it for granted. Some of the theaters have sadly not survived the pandemic. The pandemic renewed my appreciation for the theater scene in my city. Which, yeah, I mean,
Right? And yes, that's
hmm
all you can say is yes. We all. I love the one sentence from Evan Jones,
yeah,
quarantine e-theater.
yep. I know that he holds that as one of his most greatest accomplishments he's ever done. I mean, raising over $20,000 for local theaters in this
Right?
time.
If you haven't already, jumped in, taken a look, seen what they're about, please treat yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. And then a lot of people doing classes and such. Ryan says, because the entire industry was shut down for the longest time, I was able to take Zoom classes with so many professionals in film and theater who were able to help me figure out my type, my package, and my entry point into the professional world. And of course, acting classes galore. Because that's something I think people take for granted. They just jump into theater, but they don't take the time to think,
Right.
how do I market myself? What type am I? Where am I best suited? So taking this time to really figure that
That was
out.
from Ryan. And Ryan, you could have paid Ellen and me. We would have told you your type. Just kidding. Well, not really. But your point's well taken. The
Yeah.
marketing part. And just a couple of weeks ago, when we spoke with the casting director,
hmm
um, y- these are things to know.
Yeah.
It's a business. It's both, art is a business. Liv Larson says, I've been able to read so many plays, which I definitely wouldn't have done before. It's also solidified that there's nothing else in the world I'd rather be doing than live theater. And although it won't be the easiest path, it will be the most fulfilling.
Yeah. I love it. And this this is a crazy one. Lydia Nightingale wrote, I've made huge progress on my sci-fi romance novel set in 1959. I want to read that, Lydia.
Yeah, same here. Lydia, please, if you need readers, we're your gals. And Susan Ballard made an interesting comment also. She'd begun to paint and hasn't stopped. It's been a year, actually sold several paintings and mixed media pieces. So the time opened up a whole new world, and she's made wonderful artist friends through Instagram and hopes to visit them when that's possible in the future. Susan, send us some links so we can take a look at your fabulous work,
That's amazing. I mean, just to
right?
break up some and be able to like sell them when you just started. That's amazing.
Whoa, whoa.
Woo woo. So let's see. So we also talked about unexpected friendships that we've made in the theater. This was really sweet. So let's see. We got one from Joyce here. She says, so she was working. She had 3 days to learn a show to join a tour. And they brought in the original actor to work opposite of her before leaving for New York City. And there was an instant connection. I left the tour and then stayed in New York City and talked on the phone. This is a time of landlines, right? No cell phones or computers, and became good friends with this person. A year later, they realized it was more than a friendship. 3 years later, they were married and been married for 22 years. And the show, this is so cute. The show was Goldilocks and the Three Bears. She was Mama Bear and he was Papa Bear. I mean, that's so
I
heartwarming.
love it. You never know. Joyce, happy anniversary and many, many more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of you may know Tom Della Sala. He said when his wife died, Slock became his second home, and the people there provided him with a place to stay busy and not obsess over his loss. Their support truly helped him get through a very difficult time, and many of those people remain dear friends. In addition, through Slock, I've met many of the people who will read this, and for that, Tom says he is eternally grateful.
Yeah. I mean, it is family. It
It
is.
is. And you pick up. You may not see somebody for years and you pick up like you saw them yesterday. And it's because you've experienced something together that is so on the edge,
Yeah.
so open, so raw,
Mm-hmm.
and you're living with them
You
through
are.
this.
You are. And it's funny because you meet family members, of theater family members that you would not really meet otherwise. Evan Jones and David Rook both sent a message saying that they're best pals and there's quite an age difference between them. And the fact that those two people of such, different generations are such good friends, they wouldn't have had much opportunity to meet
And
and
you'll
find that
hear
friendship.
this something similar in our upcoming, no, actually, the interview that already posted with Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin
Um,
and David are such good friends with years
right.
between them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One could be the other's. Kevin could be David's father, David Kenner. Could be his dad. We've got to get David on.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely.
And then what gifts has the pause given you? Nope, we went through that one. Sorry, I got to roll down a little further. There we go. What was the first show? This is like reading. Sometimes this happens on teleprompter. The same
Right.
story comes back up and you go, wait a minute, I already read
Hold on.
that.
Hold on.
Yeah, well, I had our teleprompters whacking out at News Channel 13, something in the software the last few days, and it
Oh,
just goes to black while you're reading. And it's gone for about a second and a half, but it seems like 3 days. So it's good.
yeah.
You proofed your copy, so you kind of know where you're going, and you've got it in the. But by the you have it in the script in front of you. We use an iPad, but in the time that it takes for your mind to process that
Yeah.
it's not there, you better look down here. It comes back. It's that second and a half.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what was the first show you were in? And Alex tells us it was Annie. He was 13. Alex, she was 13. And for 2 years, all the friends said I should audition for the school play. And for 2 years, I declined. Finally, I acquiesced and was cast as Mr. Bundles in the ensemble. It remains one of the better decisions I've ever made. I was standing off stage right with my friend Rebecca, awaiting my first entrance, so nervous, literally couldn't stand still. I was breathing heavy, psyching myself up. And when I finally entered and the light hit me, all of that nervous energy instantly washed away. I swear it was like walking through a waterfall. It was so noticeable that it actually threw me off and I almost missed my line. I knew immediately that I belonged on stage almost 25 years later, and I still remember that feeling. I will never forget it. Alex,
Yeah. And I've had the good fortune of working with Alex, and oh my gosh, talk about the perfect Mr. Bumbles. And but I love that. It's like walking through a waterfall.
Right?
Beautiful.
Isn't that,
Beautiful.
I mean, we can talk about this with other folks too. And maybe this is something we ask as a question, there's that moment before you step out on stage. And we all have our routines that we do to deal with that energy, to get rid of the excess, to harness the positive energy, to take and propel us out onto the stage. And sometimes you're oddly calm, and that's worrisome. But how about we talk a little bit about, next time we do this, everybody let us know about that moment of transition for you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with the yayas, and how do you make them work for you? Do you get them? Don't you get them? What do you think?
I like that. Yeah. I remember sitting, I remember once I was about to enter for You Can't Take It With You. And I had the biggest stage fright I've ever had. I don't usually get stage fright, but I got so terrified because all of a sudden I was like, is this funny? Is this play funny? Am I funny? I have no idea. And it wasn't until I walked onto that stage and got the first laugh, I was like, okay, we're good. But yeah, that moment
It's
before.
funny, the thinking, because you don't want to be thinking, but
Mm-mm.
you can't help but think because you want to be in the moment. And it's like the two sides of your brain are having a little push me, pull me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did, they're playing our song up at the Fort Salem
Love it.
Theater a number of years ago. It's a two-person show, there's an offstage, mini chorus. And I was eerily calm every night.
Hmm.
And I've still never figured it out why, but it worked for me. And it may have been the character's energy because
Mm-hmm.
she was just so, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
That
it
character
was,
goes a big way. Yeah, walking
yeah,
on
it
with
was
that
just, it
character.
was odd. So go ahead. You got the
Let's
next
see.
one.
We got some. Our lovely Yvonne Perry. So she said she was Mrs. Malloy in The Matchmaker, and she still remembers her favorite line. I'm gonna break out of this town like a fire engine. It's become her internal mantra, and I think that's the thing. Like I remember my very first line on stage. I wonder how many people remember their very, very first line because it is so magical that first moment.
I don't. I wish I did. I know
Oh,
I sang Summertime 1,400,000 times. That was my song. And I've got a shot of me somewhere with my arm raised wearing moccasins and a madras plaid skirt singing it like at a summer program somewhere. You know,
yeah.
um, let's see. We have Zoe Lewis went to a really small elementary school, and we did full school musicals with a cast of about 30 kids. When I was in kindergarten, we did The Wizard of Oz, and I remember being pissed I was a tree by default and not even getting the chance to audition for Dorothy, who was obviously a fifth grader. Whether or not I would have been able to read a script was totally irrelevant to me. Redemption arc, though. We did an adaptation of The Wizard of Oz the year I graduated from the school in sixth grade, and she was, in fact, Dorothy at that time. Click those heels together, and the magic happened.
Sometimes it's that ambition that keeps you going. You're like, I'm gonna do that role
Do
one
you
day.
have one of those?
Um, yeah, I mean, I have some that I haven't done yet. Yeah. So,
Regina in Little Foxes. To
yeah.
this day, I think I got the short end of the stick in college. Long story,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. Everybody should live and be well. Um, and then I got to play it with an incredible cast at Theater Voices.
Nice, nice. There you go.
Oh, tell us about Elizabeth.
Ozzy Elizabeth says, I sang Oh Holy Night in my elementary school's Christmas play. I had told no one I had been chosen. My parents were stunned. I can't believe not telling my parents, but like I would have a solo going on. It was at night, so it was absolutely blacked out darkness of the gymnasium, the lights, the rustling in the audience left me with a deep, deep love memory. I'm not sure if I was any good. I don't remember being fawned over, but I loved being wrapped in the experience, which gave me my love of theater and nightlife.
Then you were fabulous, Elizabeth.
I'm sure she was.
Laura Darling was a mouse in Cinderella. Not counting the time, that was at first, not counting the time I crashed a Sesame Street live show as a 4-year-old and refused to leave the stage. I love you.
I've heard that mentioned, but I've never heard her whole story about that. So we're gonna have to get her on and ask her about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chloe said, my first ever onstage experience was at nursery school, age 3 or 4. We did a production of Old MacDonald Had a Farm, in which there was a farmer and the rest of us were animals of our choosing and sang one song together. I was the cat. When it was my turn, the class sang, and on that farm there was a cat, E-I-E-I-O, with a, and my line was just to step forward and say, meow, meow. But I stepped forward, froze, started crying, and ran off stage to find my mom in the audience. Didn't even get the line out. I have no idea where the transition was, but my memories of childhood after that all involve forcing my cousins and friends to dress up and learn lines and perform skits for my family.
Meant to be a director.
Exactly. But good getting over that traumatic first experience.
Heather Liz Copps was Gretel Von Trapp in The Sound of Music, and at Diane Stewart High School. She was 5. She used to nap during intermission so she could stay up late enough to do Act 2.
So sweet. I always wonder about those like really young kids in shows. How do they stay up?
Right?
And a lot of times they're not in the curtain call because they have to go home to go to bed. Let's see. Susie Morstein, this is a dear friend of mine back from Virginia. So the house they lived in grew up with a side porch and a flat roof. My friends and I decided to put on a play, The Patchwork Princess. It was 1962. We hung one of my grandmother's quilts for a curtain. Greg Bloomfield sat on the roof and played drums and raised the curtain. I directed and also played the witch. Another lady up the street gave us some vintage clothing, so we dressed everyone up. So my love of vintage and theater were both experienced in one production. Which is
Isn't
just,
that great?
you can do theater anywhere. I mean, that's the magic of it.
What's the old, I always joke, the Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, mom's got an old refrigerator box and there are some curtains in the garage or something. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right. And
Exactly.
that's all you need.
Yeah.
But let's see, Mike Sear, A Christmas Carol in the 7th grade was Marley's Ghost. They put like 50 pounds of real chains on the chubby preteen. And on opening night, when I was slowly backing off stage saying, no more, no more, I tripped. And the weight of the chains took me all the way to the ground. It was freaking hilarious. The audience laughed. Welcome to the theater, Mike. Somebody else might have died 1,000 deaths.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes, even though that wasn't a comedy, getting that laugh is like a, all right.
Right?
Yeah. Let's see. Brittany is talking about, this is amazing. Her first show was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I can't imagine that being my very first show. She was a sophomore in
Right?
college. She was terrified, partially because it was their first musical, but mainly because she had no idea how to be sexy in life. So imagine being in Rocky Horror for your first musical in front of a mass of people.
Wow. That's acting, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. Don
Mhm.
Peterson was Hansel and Gretel's father in 3rd grade. I was told I was the only one in the show who could be heard. My sister in kindergarten at the time was in the audience when they appeared on stage for the first time. She shouted out, "That's my brother."
Aw.
Do you love it?
I
And
love it.
these things happen. Ellen, maybe we need to make a book.
Yeah,
What do you think, gang? Should we like compile all this stuff into a book?
that would be amazing. I
Right?
love
My
that.
first time
My first time.
on stage.
Yeah. Good clarification.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
realized in the first part of the conversation, I didn't say it was Kevin McGuire
Right.
and David Kenner.
Mhm.
We use our little shorthand because we figure you're all listening to all of our podcasts, but in case you're new to it, Broadway's Kevin McGuire. So,
That's right. That's
but
right.
it's been fun. So we've got that going on this weekend. I know Cafe Lena, while not theater per se, is back to doing live shows. They're not letting people in, but folks are coming back into the theater to Cafe Lena to do their shows so that you can then see them online. And if you've got an opportunity, you're looking for something to do, check out Cafe with 2 F's Lena for something to do over the weekend as well. Not the
Yeah.
same, but if you sit there with friends and if a couple of you Zoom at the same time to watch, it's kind of like being there with your buds and having an audience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And make sure everybody checks out Tuesday's episode. We are talking to Austin Titchener of the Reduced Shakespeare Company. We already recorded that, and he was a hoot to talk to. So make sure to check out that next episode.
He's wonderful. It was a dynamic interview. You really, if you have had any experience with the abridged versions of stuff, this is an absolute must. And if you haven't, it's an absolute must just to hear the process that goes on and his
Awesome.
delight. Didn't you get that sense, this
Yes.
tremendous delight with the work?
Absolutely. And I think that's so key. There's lots of different forms of theater you can do. And when you find your niche, it's so wonderful, so rewarding when you're like, this is just what I love to do. Yeah.
Still waiting on a couple of folks to let us know if they're coming on board. We're going to be speaking with the folks from McHayden Theater coming up.
Awesome.
So that'll be great to hear their new season. Wham! Theater has just
Mm.
announced its new season. Jump on their website, take a look, see some interesting things going on there as well. So give them a little love.
Oh, and some random theater news. I saw recently that not only is Dear Evan Hansen being turned into a movie with Ben Platt, which I think would be really, really great,
Mhm.
but also Come From Away is being filmed, like a production, like on stage. And I know that's one of your to dos.
Listen, if anybody's involved in the casting, that's the one show I really, really want to do. I'll play any role. I'd,
And
I'd be good.
I've
I'd be
not
good.
seen it yet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would be
Oh,
amazing. You'd be amazing. And
I
yeah,
have to
I'm
tell you,
so
having
excited.
covered that, I was at Ground Zero on 9/12,
Oh,
and it is it's an uplifting show. It's heartbreaking and uplifting, and I think tears rolled down my eyes, down my cheeks,
mm-hmm,
for about 60 of the 90 minutes.
mm-hmm.
You're not sobbing, but your heart, it just takes your heart in its hands and does so respectfully and gently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and
Mm-hmm.
there is, I think there is well, I know there's a local connection. There's a local actress who's in the show. And I think one of the producers, part of the producing team is local. So, Ellen, I think I got a little work to do some booking.
Yeah. Do
So
some reach out. Yeah.
we'll leave that as a tease. How's that?
I like it. Excellent. So let's see. Our question for this week is: what is that moment like? How do you make that transition off stage to on stage? And then talking to Kevin McGuire, he was talking about the stuff he's been doing to keep busy during this time. So let us know. Are you taking classes? What things are you excited for? And you had posed one, Benita, of what do you want to do? What would be your first show that you would pick when everything is back to normal?
So talk to us. Let us know.
Yeah,
Because
we
this
love
is
the stories.
everything theater. Yeah.
It is.
You got anything coming up, Ellen?
Nope.
More
Well,
everything?
everything theater, exactly. This podcast has kept me going. I'm on the board of Theater Voices, and we are looking at potentially trying to do something virtual. It's very early stages, but I'll keep you guys posted if that goes forward.
Sounds great. And, as always, I'll keep you posted about Park Playhouse, Park Stage Company. We're getting ready to start, we're running a two-track plan. One says we're virtual and one says we're in the park.
Yeah.
So, or back at Gaho's Music Hall. So I'll keep you posted there.
Excellent. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in for our backstage chat. We'll catch you next week with Austin Titchener, and the week after that, we'll be back talking about your responses to this episode. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. Stay well, stay happy. We'll see you.